back into the conversation because there's another receiver out there that people will connect to Brady. He's not that tall, but he's awfully good. And that, of course, is Antonio Brown. What are you hearing about the possibility? And the Buccaneers, of course, have their share of weapons already, but the possibility that AB and Brady combine in Tampa next year.
Yeah, Greeny, file this under something to look out for in the future. Antonio Brown, we know, still under NFL investigation, likely to face some kind of suspension. He's fighting with the Patriots and the Raiders over grievances, over money he wants them to pay him. So we don't know when he'll be back to the NFL. What we do know is that he and Tom Brady have stayed in contact since the very brief time Antonio Brown played for the Patriots, and that they have discussed, this is according to people close to Antonio Brown, they have discussed the possibility of teaming up again wherever Brady landed. Now, of course, he landed in a place where, as you mentioned, wide receiver, not a crying need. It might have been easier if he'd gone to Miami or someplace like that. But just keep it in the back of your mind as something that if it happened down the road, it wouldn't be overly shocking. A lot still has to happen to get Antonio Brown back on the field, but if and when he does, it's not a crazy idea.
All right, Dan Graziano, so well done. Thank you. And obviously, there's a lot of breaking news out there still to come, and we will continue to come to you. But right now, I want to bring in our friend, the Hall of Famer he's now at the NFL Network, of course, and that is Michael Irvin, the legendary Dallas Cowboy. And we got two Cowboys with us now for the price of one. We got Marcus Spears ready to go as well. And Michael, a pleasure. Thank you for doing this during these crazy times. And a couple of different things I want to get to. Let's start with Brady there. Brady in Tampa, how good do you think that team is next year?
I think that team is great next year with Tom Brady. And what you guys just talked about, I think it explains why he's had such success, the way he's, actually gravitated and trying to be that helping hand to Antonio Brown. Tom Brady, no matter who he plays with, he gets the best out of them. We've talked about that for years. Now imagine going to Tampa, where that great talent is, and getting the best out of that talent. Greeny, swagoo. I'm telling you, that's going to be a beautiful sight for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans.
Swagoo, they already have Godwin and Evans. Should the Buccaneers try to figure out a way to get Antonio Brown there?
No, they shouldn't, G. And that doesn't mean Antonio Brown shouldn't be back in the league. I just believe that young talent that Mike just mentioned and Dan talked about earlier, along with Cameron Brady and O.J. Howard. Look, this is the thing we talked about, G. Remember when Gronk retired and I told you this was the biggest impact that the New England Patriots would face going forward? Tom Brady has two safety valves now. He has two tight ends that can block in the run game. Tampa's a great situation for him. I don't think they need to bring in another piece. Godwin is really good, and Mike Evans obviously being a big target that he can go downfield with. I don't think you need to add to that. I know not adding a crazy talent like Antonio Brown to say not to is like crazy to a lot of people out there, but to me, you don't mess this up. Tom Brady has the attention and ear of everybody in Tampa Bay right now. I think you need to leave it that way.
Swagoo, there's something that you are discounting here. Tom Brady is not just going to Tampa. He's also trying to show everybody that he left in Boston that he can win a championship without Bill Belichick. And that's going to require all the talent that you can muster up. And if Antonio Brown is anywhere available, even if not available early in the season, but you can get him on that team and you can put him in that slot, and then you can have Godwin and Mike Evans out wide. Man, listen, Tom Brady will have a great chance at doing something in Tampa with that kind of talent around him. Always remember now, it's not just about what he's trying to do in Tampa. It's also about what he's trying to beat that he left in Boston.
That's fair. I want to ask you, Michael, while we have you here, clearly about what's going on in Dallas now as they wind up franchise tagging Dak Prescott, who has done everything you could ask a person to do since he got there. What is your perspective on the way that situation has been handled, and what do you expect to happen?
Well, this is big business, Greeny. You guys know that. It's always happened like this. I tell people all the time, when you get these kind of businessmen, the CAA, $1 billion they have and the billions of dollars that Jerry Jones have, usually these kind of deals don't get done until the slipper falls off Cinderella. It's at the last minute, but they usually get done. Now, Jerry put the franchise tag, and I know, and I tell people, I know that they've offered Dak, $33, $34 million a year we don't have a clear number on what Dak is wanting. But I do believe that this thing will get done. It's not like a Kirk Cousins because they want Dak Prescott here. Everybody believes in Dak Prescott, and he will be a Cowboy.
Swagoo, is the tone going to turn against Dak at some point? I feel like everyone supports him, and rightly so, to this point. But if Michael has said it, and we've heard others say it, that there is a huge offer on the table that he's not taking, will the tide turn against him at some point?
The tide may turn for people that look at this business as players are supposed to go ahead and succumb to the situations that they're in. But as a former player looking at guys, man, you maximize your potential on a contract. It doesn't have anything to do with relationship at this point. It's business. So if Dak Prescott and his agents feel like they can get, if the offer is 33 and 34 and they feel like they can get 35 or 36, you try to get 35 or 36 over the process of that entire contract. I know a lot of people, I've heard people say he should take less, and they gonna need money to put in other players' hands. Listen, this is something that I've watched when I played. I'm sure Mike watched when he played. Some guys do it, and kudos to them for taking less and doing things. We just coming off of Tom Brady taking less in New England. If I'm Dak Prescott, I perform well, and if I can get 35 or 36, I ain't taking 33 or 34. I'm getting 35 or 36.
How about the idea of taking less?
If we knew, no, and I'm with Wagyu on that. That's everybody's personal preference. If you want to say, hey, I want to take less and stay at this place or move to that place, that's your personal preference. You're doing the business. I will allow you to do that business. But Swagyu, if we knew that's what Dak was asking for, because they haven't made that too public, that Dak's out. If it's 35, 36, then we can get on Jerry and say, come on, Jerry, close that gap. 36 and 34, you meet in the middle at 35 or something, close the gap. But the fact that we haven't really had a solid number on Dak leaves us only with the numbers that the Cowboys are throwing out. And I think somehow, some way, sometimes that work against the player.
All right, and then finally, a guy who you could argue is as good as any receiver in the world right now, DeAndre Hopkins, was just traded from Houston to Arizona in a move that stunned a lot of people. What did you think of it, Michael Irvin?
And Greeny, it stunned me, Greeny. And I'm going to tell you guys, both of you guys, I got on the phone with him right after I heard about this trade, and I tried to pull it out of him like, what happened? What happened here, man? There's no way they give away one of the best receivers in the NFL for a ham sandwich like they did. And he kept the high road on it. He said, Michael, I'm just happy about where I'm going, and that's it. He left it there. But of course, I couldn't rest my mind on it. I called him again 24 hours later, like late yesterday, and then he was willing to talk more. And I said, tell me what happened in Houston. And he went into it. He told me, he said, Michael, it was a bit of a power struggle there because Coach O'Brien thought he had too much influence over the locker room. He called DeAndre Hopkins in a meeting to talk about this and to kind of, I guess, hash it out. In that meeting, he started the meeting with telling DeAndre Hopkins this that blew my mind when DeAndre told me this. He told DeAndre Hopkins, he said, hey, the last time I had to have a meeting like this, it was with Aaron Hernandez. I was like, what? He put in Aaron Hernandez in this meeting? He said, yes, he did. He said, Michael, that blew my mind that he would even bring that up. I've never been in any trouble. I don't know why would he equate me with Aaron Hernandez. And from there, the meeting just deteriorated. He got into talking about DeAndre Hopkins because DeAndre Hopkins has a few kids and from different women. And he said, he told DeAndre he doesn't like that he has his baby mamas around sometimes. And from that, I think the relationship just went bad. And thus, we got a trade of DeAndre Hopkins from Houston for basically, like I said earlier, a ham sandwich, all because of that relationship.
Wow. Marcus, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I can't believe what I just heard. I legit cannot believe what I just heard. Like, this is the first time I'm lost for words. Bill O'Brien legitimately told D-Hop that, and I believe Mike has great relationships with a bunch of these receivers. They look up to him. They confide in him. They ask him about playing a position, but also navigating through what the NFL is and navigating through life. But, man, are you kidding me? Bill O'Brien would do that to DeAndre Hopkins. He would talk about the mothers of his kids. He would bring up Aaron Hernandez. Like, I've been out on Bill O'Brien. I'm never going to be back in.
But Michael, we thank you very much. Again, it is important to point out you're telling us this is what DeAndre Hopkins told you in a conversation, and so obviously we will have to ask him as soon as we can. And Michael, thank you very much. And again, as we've said to everyone here, stay safe, the best to your family, and thank you very much for doing this.
Hey, thank you, guys. And yeah, everybody be safe out here and practice social distance. Okay, guys. Hey, God bless everybody.
The Hall of Famer, Michael Irvin. Thank you very much. All right, as we continue, Kyler Murray may have gotten a lot better this week with the acquisition that we're talking about there. We will explain that and more as we continue next.